Welcome back to the Thrifty Food Plan channel, friends. If you're new here, my name is Jay, and I am a 50-something woman who largely lives alone, unless my daughter, the college phenom, is here. And this is a channel where we focus on frugal food budgets, grocery hauls, and meal plans, really based in the USDA Thrifty Plan. This video, though, is about doing a full clean out and taking stock of inventory for everything that I have in my pantries. So let's get to it. Okay, for those of y'all who have asked over the weeks on different videos, like, what all is in my pantry? Well, this is the moment. Twice a year, I do this in January and July, where I pull everything out of my kitchen pantry and everything out of what used to be like my COVID pantry, which is like part of my closet upstairs. I pull everything out and I do the what's expired, what needs to be eaten soon, like all of those sorts of things. And so I've put it in a couple different categories here. I've got like grain and rice products, pastas, that kind of thing, oats. I've got all the beans that I have in inventory. This is like baking stuff and sweet treats, more baking stuff, the Phenom's oil. This is all I had in fruits and veg that was canned, and I don't even know when I bought those chipotle peppers. Like, I don't even really eat those. My guess is those are from like COVID, because that was all I could get. And I got one little thing of raisins, right? And then this is like the pantry stuff that the Phenom had left over when she went to college. And then right here, this is probably the place where I'm gonna have a lot of stuff that is past its best by date, so to speak. This is all the spices, all those sorts of things. These are beverages. Coconut milk isn't really a beverage, but I wasn't sure where to put it. And y'all look, I've got a little bit of coffee in the freezer, but this is all, that's what I have left in my little coffee thing. And so I'm going to go through all of this. I'm not going to make you watch me go through all of it. But while I'm going through all of it, I will walk you through sort of the best practice when it comes to expiration dates, best by dates, use by dates, all that kind of thing. And then I will report back on what is going to get donated and what is going to be kept. And then really what might need to be thrown away and is food waste, and that's something for me to learn from. So this is everything in my pantries. So there are all kinds of like buy dates that appear on food products, whether those are canned goods or pastas or meat that you might have. They're best if used by dates, sell by dates, used by dates, freeze by dates. And basically what I learned when I looked at the USDA guidance, which I will link below, is that none of those dates really tell you anything unless it is infant formula. And you should not use infant formula if it is past its use by date. The more helpful information I was able to find from the USDA is that, spoiled foods will have an odor or a flavor or a texture that seem off. And we obviously should not eat things like that. We also should discard any canned goods that are dented, rusted, or swollen. And very generally, things like canned tomatoes and fruits will last about 12 to 18 months. And, low acid canned foods, vegetables, and meats can keep between 2 and 5 years. So as I was sort of going through everything that I had in my pantry, I really, on most things, ended up using the smell test. I'd say the other thing that I discovered is that yeast and products containing yeast really only work about 2 to 4 months after their best by date. So I did discard some yeast and stuff, as you'll see in a minute. So let's see what I found out when I did my clean out. All right, so some stuff did bite the dust. These things will go to the co-parent right here. All of this is going to go back up to my upstairs pantry. And then I have reorganized here. And we are good to go with my semi-annual pantry clean out. Now let's talk about the inventory. Okay, folks, so this is my full inventory of everything that is left, or some things that I need to replace now that I have done my clean out. So I've just got a couple of vegetable items, just fruit. Only fruit I have are the raisins that I eat and my oats. The rotini and farro that I had in the upstairs pantry are past their best by date, so I need to eat those in very short order. I'm running low on rice, all-purpose flour, whole wheat flour, so I know in the next couple of weeks or months, if I see them on a good price, I should probably pick those things up. I did have to throw out my baking spray, the kind that's got flour in it. Its best by date was in 21 and it smelled a little weird, so I went ahead and tossed it. My yeast packets I also had to throw out because they had expired and they're well past the 4-month window. I also threw out and want to replace basil, which you can see down here, kind of dried basil. So I either need to buy that on sale or pick it up at the Dollar Tree. And then the one thing that I need to buy now because my stockpile's far too low is coffee. But as you can see, I do have things in my pantry that I can eat off of over the next couple of weeks. And that said, like it's not as gigantic of a pantry as it once was. Like during COVID, I had far more things in my pantries, both the kitchen pantry and my upstairs pantry. And then I guess the other thing I'm looking at here is how much stuff I have in the miscellaneous category. But a lot of this is kind of cooking supplies. So maybe I shouldn't be freaked out about it. You'll also see notes where there are items that are the college phenoms and not things that I will be eating. All right, this is my full inventory, people. This is everything I have in my pantries. So I did learn some things about myself, which is that my food waste largely occurred with spices and prepared foods. A lot of my spices did not meet the smell test, and a lot of like canned goods, particularly that Chef Boyardee stuff. I mean, they expired or their best by date was in 2021. And so I did discard those. I also discarded a couple of packets of yeast and a pizza mix because the yeast rule I talked about earlier. But really, my food waste was around spices and prepared foods. So as I go forward, there are a couple things I want to do differently. I only want to buy less used spices or spices that I'm just trying because they look good. Really, only want to buy those at the Dollar Tree because, I threw out probably 5, 6 different kinds of spices. So that's a lot of sunken money and a lot of waste. The other option is there is a Sprouts grocery store within 10 miles of my house. And the Sprouts does have a section where you can go and literally buy a teaspoon or a tablespoon of a spice. And so if I'm over there and I need something, right, I could just buy it by the teaspoon or tablespoon as opposed to buying an entire jar of a spice that I'm very unlikely to ever use again. And then I think a big lesson for me here is that I should not stockpile pantry items for the college phenom. We can make it work. And when she's here, if she wants me to pick some things up, I can add it to the grocery list. But I don't need to have a whole bunch of canned goods, canned soups, canned Chef Boyardee, right, that she's probably not going to eat. So I should not stockpile prepared foods for the phenom. If she wants things that I don't have, I can buy them when she's here. Second lesson for me is that, as you saw in the inventory, I did have some pastas and grain that kind of got old because I didn't eat them quickly enough. And, the do differently here is for me to actually eat pasta. Pasta is not something that I eat regularly. I'm not exactly sure why, but it's just not something I eat on the regular. So I do need to actually eat the pasta that I have in inventory. And, and I need to pay attention to the grains that I have in inventory more broadly and eat them. And then, particularly with pasta, because I don't eat it a lot, I need to eat everything that I currently have in my pantry before I buy any more pasta. So, for the next 6 months until I do this again in July, these are some of the things that I have learned this time around that I will do differently, hopefully for the next 6 months, if I can hold myself to it. So this is my pantry clean out and inventory, which, really will set me up for the next couple of months to really understand what I have in my inventory and for me to be able to track it and use it better and be more cost efficient by not wasting food. Would appreciate any tips and tools you all have about how you track and monitor your pantry inventory, just to make sure that you're using what you have. And I also am kind of curious, I think during COVID, I tried to keep like a 4 week supply of food in a pantry just because, we were having so many interruptions and being able to like get things. And clearly, I'm not doing that anymore. So I'm curious how all of you are thinking about having sort of food on hand in case there is a natural disaster. I mean, I do live in a place where there are blizzards, where there's a natural disaster, or heaven forbid, if we had some kind of pandemic again. So, how are y'all thinking about sort of pantry stockpiles? I know some folks are doing it just because of food inflation and fears about the economy. Anyway, let me know what y'all are doing with that. I'm just not sure I want to have that much stuff all the time, but maybe I need to. So please do give me your best thoughts. Thank you again for visiting. Please hit that like button and please subscribe. Drop your comments below, giving me your best advice. And please come back on Thursday when we'll have another grocery haul and meal plan. Thanks so much for visiting.